I'm on a ferry right now. I came on the back side of the boat because the side of the boat that's looking forward is quite busy, and it's a little embarrassing. It's a little embarrassing to be recording like this, but I just wasn't really doing anything today. I was not feeling too great, and I realized that I haven't been on a ferry in a while. And if you ask me, it's one of the most coolest things about this state. So I decided just to go on the ferry because it's not that expensive. I think it was $9 for me, so not that bad. I'm going right now from from Mukilteo to Clinton, Whidbey Island, because I read there's a place there called Ebby's Landing. Never been there before, and I wanted to go out in nature because it always makes me feel better. So I decided to do it. And look at the water. Look at the way that it ripples with the boat. It's so pretty. It's a nice way to be in the moment, you know. This is one of the really short ferry rides. I feel like it always finishes so quickly. Yeah, the academic quarter just ended, and I feel like there's always a kind of quality during the school year of always kind of trying to get somewhere, and everything's going so quickly. And first you're studying for this exam, and all you have to worry about is you just have to survive until the exam, and then you go through the exam, and now maybe you have a couple days of relief. And now you just have to survive until the next exam. You just have to get this next assignment done. And then you come to the end of the quarter and you just have to get through the final. You just have to get through the final. And then you get a few days of relief. And then it's like, now the next class has started, and you repeat the cycle. And you never really have a kind of this moment is enough right now. I'm not trying to get anywhere else. I'm just enjoying the way that the ripples of the water look as they pass behind the boat. And I find that when I go out in nature, it makes it a little easier for me to have those moments. I can smell the salt from the ocean. And I can feel the sun on my face. It's quite nice. Live in such a beautiful state. Live in such a beautiful area. This is like a 20-minute drive, I think, to take this ferry. I guess I'm pretty lucky to live here. I made it to Ebby's Landing. It's very pretty. It's pretty quiet, which is nice. I don't know, it's peaceful. Yeah, I think I mentioned that the academic quarter just ended. Definitely not one of my best quarters. In fact, maybe one of my least best quarters. Depending on how you define good and bad. I was taking 4 classes. I started with 4 classes. And then progressively throughout the quarter, I was having difficulty with my health. And I ended up having to drop 3 out of my 4 classes. And then in the 4th class, I kept it because the professors were incredibly wonderful people, very accommodating and kind, and I could just give them both a kiss on the cheek. Yeah, I love them. The main professor's name is Jerry. He was incredibly kind. And Jerry, if you ever see this, I could give you a kiss on the cheek. Anyway, oh yeah, in that class I got an incomplete. So, hey, that's arguably better than a registrar drop. And technically, it's not my worst quarter GPA-wise because my GPA is NA, I guess, if I got 3 RDs and 1 I. Yeah, so well, there's that. That does delay my graduation. That's one piece. Not too upset about it, to be honest, because, my graduation's gotten delayed several times throughout the course of, me being at the university due to health reasons for the most part. And it was looking like I'd be able to graduate next autumn. I wasn't particularly excited about having an autumn graduation anyway. And so the fact that this has kind of pushed my graduation to spring instead is not really that upsetting to me. There's a point when I was at the university at about year 3 mark, I think, when I first started having some trouble with my health. When I came into the university as a freshman, I didn't have any of the health issues that I have now, and so they accepted me, right? Because otherwise they wouldn't, because they don't want disabled students at their university. But now they're stuck with me because it happened after I got here, so they weren't able to filter me out. They certainly have tried, and I'm not sure how I've made it this far, but I have. And about the 3rd year, I was getting to that point where, with like my health issues, maybe they had started about a year earlier, and I was getting really exhausted, and I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna finish. I don't know if I can keep doing this any longer. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to graduate. And I was just completely burnt out. What ended up saving me is I had to kind of have a little bit of a mindset shift, where I decided, I was like, you know what? When I originally came to the university, I ended up deciding to come to university because I wanted to learn, particularly because I had an interest in pharmacology, which I still have, but, due to reasons of, what do you call it? I don't know, exclusionary culture, competitiveness, I decided not to pursue a PhD or do research. I don't know. It's got its whole culture to it. I don't know, I'm rambling. This is just a ramble video today. I think I'll just be yapping. I don't really have anything planned. Oh yeah, I had to have a bit of a mindset shift in order to be able to kind of keep going. Is that I was like, you know what? There's this thing that I feel like we tend to do in our Western culture where it seems like we're always trying to get somewhere. We're running through our lives, racing to the finish line, and obviously the finish line is death, but we don't usually think about that part. We're just trying to finish high school so then we can get into a good college, and we got to really work really hard on the SATs so that we can get into a good college. And then when we're in the university, we need all our grades to be perfect so that we can get into the right medical school or whatever it is. And then we just have to survive through medical school, because then we'll be a doctor, and once we're a doctor, then we'll be happy. But we have to get the best residency, and now maybe we could start our own private practice clinic, and then at that point we'll be happy because we can kind of maybe when we have our own clinic we can reduce our stress a bit, and then maybe we could start a family, and then we'll be happy. But then the kids are up all night, and and it's stressful, and your marriage is having problems. So maybe when the kids get a little bit older, then we can be happy, and or maybe when I retire, then I can be happy. And it goes on and on and on, and ultimately we die and we were never happy. I was worried that I was starting to get stuck into that trap of just trying to survive, just trying to get through it and graduate, and then I'd be happy, and then I could move on. Yeah, and I felt like I was unconsciously drifting a bit away from the things that I valued, and it was causing me to burn out a bit. And so I made kind of a conscious decision that I was like, all right, it doesn't matter when I graduate. I'm completely letting go of the idea that I'm even going to graduate. I'm going to assume that I'm going to die the quarter before I finish my degree. I'm never going to finish my degree. And the only reason I'm here is because I want to be here. And the campus is beautiful, and I like meeting people, and the classes are interesting. And if I'm lucky, the professors are really kind. And learning can be quite fun. And when I made that mindset shift, that was like a little while ago. And I've been able to enjoy my time quite a bit more there. And when these things happen and I have a rough quarter, and maybe I have to push back my graduation or something like that, it doesn't bother me quite as much, because the goal wasn't to graduate. The goal is just to live my life. And I'm living my life, and that happens to be at the university right now. And so regardless of whether I got 3 drops and an incomplete, I absolutely loved that class with Jerry. And I'm really glad that I met him, because even though it was 3 months, he and the other professor were beautiful, kind people that I'm glad I had the privilege of walking through 3 months of my life with them, even though I probably will not see them again. Unfortunately, that tends to be the way that it seems to go with these things. I don't remember if I was trying to go somewhere with that or not, but yeah, the good news is though, you know, my health progressively becoming more challenging for me, and I feel like maybe there can be a bit of a not completely accurate picture painted by these videos of how well I have my life put together, because, you know, obviously the days that I have the energy to record are my good days, and yeah, so you don't see the bad days. And when they're like bad days and I'm recording, I post those privately so that other people don't see them. And then I post another video on one of my good days talking about vulnerability. So it's ironic, you know, because I don't post the vulnerable videos. Yeah, but the American medical system, huh? Isn't it just wonderful? Don't we just have a great medical system here in the US? Yeah, my favorite thing about dealing with my health issues is how when I went to my primary care doctor and they were the one to discover this problem, they were not comfortable treating it because it's outside their specialty, and it's a little bit complicated. And that's perfectly reasonable. And it's an honorable thing to do for the doctor to acknowledge the limitations of their knowledge. So I have to make an appointment with a specialist. The soonest available appointment was something like 8 months out. You know, I didn't have any other option. I made the appointment. So I just kind of sat in this limbo state with things slowly getting worse over time for like 8 months, waiting for this doctor's appointment. And then I finally had the doctor's appointment like 3 days ago. And thankfully, she's an amazing doctor. She was a really, really great doctor. It was like a very good appointment, and I made a good pick. I picked out this lady by hand. I've gotten better and better at selecting good doctors. I'm able to just kind of get a sense. And I was right. She was a great woman. I could give her a kiss on the cheek. Mwah. Yeah, but the appointment probably only took like 20 minutes, 30 minutes max. And I already kind of knew going into the appointment what probably was going to happen, and that thing is what happened. And it took like probably 20 minutes, and then I left, went to the pharmacy, picked up the prescription same day, and that was like 3 days ago, and I'm already starting to feel better. Like I've got like more energy today than I've had in months, and it's just so funny. Like I waited 8 months, and it took 20 minutes to get, this appointment took 20 minutes, and now I'm starting to feel better like 3 days later, and I don't know. Yeah, and then an unrelated issue, separate issue with a doctor that's not so hard to get into. I can see her pretty frequently. She's really good too, she's always working with me. But the insurance companies, they love to do their prior authorizations. I hope for your sake that you've never had to go through that experience. Yeah, there was a particular medication that I needed, but it's still under patent. They don't manufacture it as a generic yet. And so the drug is incredibly expensive because the pharmaceutical companies, as long as they can keep their patent on the drug, they like to keep it as high as they can get away with. So then the insurance company really does not want to pay for it. And it's funny because this is the drug that was going to work for the condition, but they wanted me to try like 3 other separate treatments first before they would consider paying for this drug. But the other treatments, like, we knew already in advance that these things were not going to work. Like pharmacologically, the mechanism of action was not the thing that was needed to treat this condition, but you have to appease the insurance company, so I just had to go through the treatments to document that I had failed them. And then even after that, I was like going back and forth with the insurance company through like 2 failed prior authorizations and then like a failed appeal. And so I was doing that for about 3 months. And then I finally figured it out, and I finally got the prior authorization approved, and then go into the pharmacy and pick up the prescription the same day, and then it starts helping me like 2 days later. That's been a very helpful medication as well. So I'm starting to feel a lot better on it. But it's just, I don't know, it's just so funny that like there's like no medical justification whatsoever in these prior authorizations for why they get approved or denied, that they're just able to completely ignore the judgment of the doctor. It's like kind of crazy that that's legal to me, like for them to, I don't know, make treatment decisions like that. I mean, I'm sure you've heard the stories, because specialty drugs, if you have like a serious condition, like this medication that I have is not a specialty drug, it's just a brand drug. And so a bottle of it probably costs $1,000 for a month's supply. But specialty drugs, if you have like cancer and you need an injection or something, some of those things when they're under patent can cost tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars for like a single injection. And so then the insurance companies are even more resistant to paying those. But you may have a progressing condition, like you may have cancer, and so if they delay your prior authorization for 3 months before you can get your treatment approved, you may die before you're able to take the drug, and that's probably their goal. But man, this isn't going to be as positive as the other videos. Oopsies. What I meant to say is, I guess I shouldn't be getting distracted by the woes of the world when I'm in such a beautiful location. Maybe I should be smelling the smell of the salt coming from the water, listening to the sound of the waves, and looking at, oh, is the sun starting to set? Is that what I'm seeing there? I'm recording using the front-facing camera today. I hope the quality's okay, but I can see myself, and so it makes it easier to keep things in frame. Sometimes when I get too caught up in my head and I'm outside like this, one of the things that's really grounding for me is to look at plants that are blowing in the wind. Like when I can, I wonder if I can get it on the video. When I can look at the way that the wind is blowing around the grasses or the leaves on the trees. And I can kind of just sit in the distance and watch them sway back and forth like they're in a dance with the wind. I don't know why. It can be kind of grounding for me. I almost fell. I think I'll walk back. There's this big bluff. There's this big bluff here that's very pretty. And I think there's actually a trail up there that you can walk on and overlook the water. So maybe I'll try and go up there. I bet that would be pretty cool. I was correct about there being a trail up here. What a beautiful world we live in, huh? There's fields. I'm going to turn it around. There's fields out here that are so pretty. Wow, it's so pretty. So beautiful. This is a nice way to spend the day, I think. I'm not lonely because I'm spending quality time with Mother Nature. That's my friend. She's my friend, right? Yeah. Yeah, this counts as hanging out with friends, I think. I went up that little mini hike up the side of the bluff, and now that I can sit down and listen to the sound of the wind, it's a little bit calming, and I can watch the grasses sway in the breeze and the flowers. There's these pretty purple flowers out here. I don't know what kind they are, but they're nice. So I'm looking at the waves from a bit more of a distance. I can bring myself back down. I guess I mentioned the topic of vulnerability, making a joke about talking about vulnerability but not wanting to post my vulnerable videos. Yeah, vulnerability. Let's see, well, in one of my past videos, I was talking about how I wasn't going to actively seek out a relationship, and I was just going to try and let life happen. But of course, we all have our ups and downs, and a little while ago, there was a point where I guess I was feeling lonely, and for whatever reason, I decided to create a dating account on a dating app. And I very quickly remembered why I told myself I wasn't going to do that. And I really, for whatever reason, don't like dating apps. And also, I don't know, something about it, it feels like it's forcing something. I went on a few dates, but I kind of ultimately, I really wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it even when I started downloading when I downloaded the app. I was feeling quite apathetic, and I wasn't really feeling attracted to anyone. Yeah, I was just feeling apathetic. And then after going on the dates, and that I've never really had to do before in my life, is reject somebody. And I really did not like the feeling of that. And then I think knowing that probably I wasn't going to be feeling like I wanted to continue anything, it felt not nice to go on a date with somebody that then I'm probably going to have to reject them. I think dating and whatnot is something that's difficult for everyone because it requires a certain level of vulnerability. And regardless of whether we're vulnerable or whether we try to protect ourselves, we're inevitably going to be hurt. It's not just an integral part of dating. I think it's just an integral part of being a human, that we're going to be hurt. And we can try and protect ourselves from that, but really, I really don't think it's that effective. I feel like we're kind of trading hurt. Like we're trading maybe the acute pain of heartbreak. Maybe we can numb that a little bit, and in exchange, we're choosing the dull pain of loneliness. There's an analogy that I've heard that when we slowly build up our protective layers, our protective mechanisms over time, our vulnerability management strategies, that it's like putting on a glove, maybe to protect our hands from the cold, and over time we've forgotten that we put on the glove, and we complain that nothing feels quite real. It feels like there's a filter between us and everything we touch. Nothing feels quite real, and we're not sure why. But it's because we have this glove on, we're protecting ourselves. And so really it's a process of ungloving ourselves, of noticing our protection strategies and consciously choosing to soften them so we can be closer to the life that's actually happening right in front of us. And there's like a quote, learning to unglove ourselves so that the doorknob feels cold, so that the car handle feels wet, and the kiss goodbye feels like the lips of another human, soft and unrepeatable. I don't know, I think that's kind of beautiful. There's a lot of pain in dating, and there's a lot of pain in just being a human, and it's very easy to want to protect ourselves, and it's very easy to use these vulnerability management techniques to try and keep ourselves from getting hurt. And even if we were to concede that these things are effective, which I think is a little bit debatable, when we put on a glove, we're not just protecting our hands against the cold, we're also protecting our hands against the warmth, and we're protecting our hands against everything that we touch. And it's not possible to selectively numb ourselves. That when we put up protective layers, we may be protecting ourselves from pain, but we're also protecting ourselves from love as well, and from getting close to the people that we interact with, and being able to fully experience our lives. And it can create a sense of loneliness, I think. But it's hard to, it can be hard to put these things down. We're wired naturally as humans to protect ourselves. But in order to love fully in any kind of relationship, in any kind of interaction with others, we have to be willing to get hurt. We have to be willing to get hurt to be able to really get close to another person. And it can be beautiful, I think. It can be beautiful, even though it's scary. One of the things that I think can be helpful when we're noticing maybe we're protecting ourselves, or we're afraid, or we're defending against being vulnerable, or whatever it is, one of the techniques that I find helpful is called RAIN. RAIN, it's an acronym, RAIN. It's a little bit of a Buddhist thing. It's like kind of a hybrid between Buddhism and psychology, that is recognize, accept, investigate, nurture. Let's see, let me think of an example of when I use this. There was a time a little while ago where I think I was feeling a bit overwhelmed. I had these feelings that were really kind of gripping me in the chest. I was looping, these emotions felt really overwhelming, I guess related to vulnerability. And so the step of recognizing is stopping to actually look at that feeling and try and recognize what it is that's going on here, that I'm feeling vulnerable, I'm feeling overwhelmed, things feel uncertain, I feel hurt, I feel abandoned, and then accepting would be sitting with that and saying, this is just the way that it is right now. It's normal to feel these things. This is a part of being a human. That there's nothing wrong with being hurt. There's nothing wrong with being overwhelmed. And this is a normal response to the circumstances. This is just the way that it is right now. And then we can kind of investigate that feeling. We can look at the way that it comes up physically, and also try to investigate what's behind that, where this is coming from, whether or not it's true. Sometimes I only do it somatically, and I'm just looking in my body, how it feels, where the tightness is in my chest, and maybe feelings of suffocation. In this case, I decided to investigate what was behind the beliefs as well. And I said, is this really true? I have these feelings of being hurt, of being abandoned, of uncertainty. Well, the situation is certainly uncertain. That's true, but I don't think that there's been any hurt that's been intended to take place. Really, the assumptions that I'm making maybe behind this hurt is the feeling of being unwanted, of being not chosen, of being rejected. And then I can investigate whether those things are actually true. And when I did that, I said, no, I don't think that actually is true. I don't think there was any rejection that took place. I don't think that there was any ill will that took place. I think it's a hard situation. But I don't think there's any reason to say that I was unwanted or unchosen. It's a natural response to the circumstances, but just because the feelings are real doesn't mean necessarily that they're true. And then moving into nurturing, as we get closer to that space, it becomes easier for us to identify what is it that this place needs. What is this place asking for by coming up? What do I need to hear from somebody? And so that may look like maybe we need accompaniment, maybe we need nurturing. I think I put my hand on my chest, something like this. You give yourself some sort of comforting touch, and you say, it's understandable to feel like this in the circumstances. It's completely understandable that this situation would make you feel like this. But that's not true. That's not true. It's okay. I'm here with you. It's okay, sweetheart. It's okay, sweetheart. I got you. No matter what happens, I'm gonna be here with you the whole time. I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna be here with you through everything. You're gonna be okay. As love you. Everything's going to be okay. And it can be really, really powerful when we can provide ourselves the nurturing and consciously investigate these beliefs, because then I was able to take the chance to ask myself, well, this other person is valuable to me. I was hurt, but I know that these feelings that I was having, while they may be real, I can recognize now that they're not true. And I can decide that, you know what, this connection was valuable to me, and I don't want these feelings of hurt to get in between a connection or a person that I think was valuable to me. I'd really like the connection to still mean something, and I think I'd like these feelings of hurt not to get in the way of that. And so that allows me to come re-engage and come see what I can do. And there's a vulnerability in that, right? There's a vulnerability in trying to reconcile and to return to something that hurt. There's a vulnerability in that, but it can also be very, you know, these connections can be very beautiful, and it can be really beautiful to be able to get close to another person. And so when I decide that this is a connection that's important to me, I can decide that I'd like to be vulnerable, that even though this situation was hurtful, I know that it wasn't meant to be hurtful. There was no rejection, there was no abandonment that took place, and I think it's worth being vulnerable to maybe get close to this person again. And so maybe this is a strategy that you can see if it's helpful for you as well. If you notice that there's fear or there's vulnerability, or you notice your protection mechanisms are starting to come up, or maybe you want to get close to another person, but fear is getting in the way of that. Maybe that's fear of getting hurt. Maybe that's fear of rejection. Maybe that's fear of allowing yourself to be seen by another person. You think that if you let this other person see you fully, then they're not going to want you anymore. You know, fears like that are a common experience of being a human. You're not unique for having these fears. We all worry about these things for the most part. Some of us have our preferences for which ones we like to grab on more than others, but we all have these worries. But in order to get close to other people and have loving, beautiful relationships in all aspects of our lives, there's an element of needing to allow ourselves to get hurt and allow ourselves to be vulnerable. And so when we notice our protective mechanisms, maybe you can see if this technique is helpful for you in any way. Taking a pause to recognize, okay, my protective mechanisms are coming up. I'm feeling vulnerable. This is a normal response to the situation, and there's nothing wrong with this. This is what it's like to be a human. And this is what it's like to be in vulnerable situations, and that's okay. I can be with this. I can be with this. I can be brave. That's what courage is, right? It's being able to experience the vulnerability and choose that we want to act anyway. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just another human being too, just like you. Yeah, I don't really know what I'm doing either, so that's the best I got. But that's the best I got. I don't really know if I got anything else for you, but I hope that you're well. I hope this meant something to you. I hope that you can be brave, and I believe in you. I believe in you. I think you've got it in you. I think you can do it, and I think that I think it might turn out better than you think it will. It might be worth giving it a shot. Kind of a funny thing happened while I was driving back. I was taking a different route, and I just happened to end up at Deception Pass, crossing the bridge at Deception Pass, which is right here. This is this is Deception Pass. I was just here in one of the last videos. I probably only had like 15 minutes of sunlight, but I thought that, you know, I just ended up at Deception Pass by accident, so why not stop? And why not stop and make a little thing at the end? Because it's pretty, and the sun's starting to set. And I was just here before. What a little funny little coincidence. And then, because I had a little pause, I found the quote that I was trying to refer to before. So beautiful. What a nice little coincidence. What a beautiful day, huh? And now I have the quote. So this might be a good way to finish off the video then, with a nice little quote by Mark Nepo that I was trying to recall off the top of my head earlier, but I couldn't recall it. So let's see. We waste so much energy trying to cover up who we are, when beneath every attitude is a want to be loved, beneath every anger is a wound to be healed, and beneath every sadness is the fear that there will not be enough time. When we hesitate in being direct, we unknowingly slip something on, some added layer of protection that keeps us from feeling the world. And often that thin covering is the beginning of a loneliness which, if not put down, diminishes our chances for joy. It's like wearing gloves every time we touch something, and then forgetting we chose to put them on. We complain that nothing feels quite real. Our challenge each day is not to get dressed to face the world, but to unglove ourselves so that the doorknob feels cold, and the car handle feels wet, and the kiss goodbye feels like the lips of another being, soft and unrepeatable. So that's my encouragement to you, to just give a shot to ungloving a little bit. Do your best to let down some of the protective coverings that we've put on that maybe are diminishing our chances to feel joy, protecting ourselves from feeling, protecting ourselves from the world. Be brave. I believe in you. It's going to be okay. Love and kisses. Mwah.